Alright, very quick update. I've got both G libraries built, and I've got Go Object Introspection actually built. The patches that Chris Roberts made put at Haiku ports work perfectly, and the patch over at Penguin K, I think, for Go Object Introspection worked perfectly. So I've had a little bit of breakthrough, but pretty much Pixman has taken the place of Go Object Introspection, and there's something going on with library PNG, and also the latest version of library PNG already has the changes that Ingo had made to that constitutes the only patch we have right now in Haiku port. So in fact, if we went up to the new version, which I think is like 1.6 versus 1.5 12, 1.612 versus 1.512, 1.612 has the patch, so you don't need to patch it in theory, but I don't know if it would actually, maybe something else is going on. I'm not sure, or maybe it's stuff going on with my system here. I ended up rebuilding the G libraries. Bunch of different libraries, and then because I had a unpatched Flex that I built a bunch of things with, and so now I'm kind of back to try to exhaust what's left over here. I've 6,262 packages that haven't built, but I've noticed that I'm getting a better build rate in the development section and the other sections, that the dependencies are coming up as I just try to go through. I was expecting to do an analysis run, is basically I expect them all to fail, and I just go through the ones that are left over, which on the right are the numbers there, and I've been doing the ones that are close to 100. So there's 106. Okay, I'm going to do that next for the input methods. And then I was finding that, and as I solved some of these, after I solved the zlib issue and the issue with Flex, then I found out some of the development packages started to show up, and some of them all across the board that I hadn't really done an analysis yet for. Pretty much out of all my analyses, these are all the packages that will not build, that stop other things from building. If you're making sense. So, and of course, I happen to have, and I haven't made note of all the different versions. There's so many things to make a note of at this stage, but I'm starting to make a note of what version is, and in some cases, with some of these sound libraries, I quite honestly, I've read in different places that there's probably only going to be one or a few ways to get sound into the OS. I'm not 100% sure, but I got the hint that was, So this is an overview. So it's very important in the beginning to get the Flex built right. But still, I don't know how far I'm going to go. This doesn't mean I'm going to be able to break through and have 9 or 10,000 out of 11,000 packages. I think I probably only have maybe about 200 lingering out of the 6,200. If I can get past the issue I have with Pixman, where it's not able to link with library PNG, I could try reverting to an older version to see if that makes a difference. If that doesn't work, then I'm pretty much done. And I still don't know how to run the X11 libraries, but I'm going to look into Penguin K's X Haiku, see if I can get that to run, and that, along with the NetBSD RCD system, I might actually be able to build something I could use. So, and then I'm getting some more categories. Now they're in the 70%. I got 4 of them. Of course, audio and multimedia are dragging me down pretty much. Well, ham isn't that much. Pretty much those are the bummers here. I think these other ones are going to probably build up to about. Well, I'm not going to. Who knows? I don't know how much of an impact having, a broken or a misbuilt flex in the beginning is going to have on the rest of these percentages. I've identified specific problems in all these ones where it doesn't have any notation as to whether the analysis has not been done or if it's been ran or a second pass is planned. If it's blank over there, it means I've looked at it and I know, I have a list and I know what builds and what doesn't build. And either it's an undefined reference or it's one of those packages that I just showed on that list over there that I'm starting to build up. What I'm hoping to do is to have one sheet of paper and say, hey guys, if we build all these things, we'll be able to build everything from Pkgsrc. I want to have some kind of, answer like that. I don't know if it's going to be true, but don't know if I'll be able to get that far to say everyone, but I might be able to make a case for it. At the same time, looking at the errors, there are a ton. I mean, one of the most common errors is the VA list error. VA list. Sometimes hidden behind a missing header is actually a VA list error. We got a real problem with the VA list thing. Also, the nice function isn't taken care of by some header that we've made called, I don't know what it is. Some guy came in asking about the nice function, and Ingo pointed him to some web page at the open group. And if I remember, I don't know what web page it. Well, hell, I'll look. I already put a lot of time into this. It's like, no. Okay. Okay. When Nico answered this guy's question, he pointed to some of the POSIX standards, the 2013 edition of the POSIX standards. It's a web page. These are the official POSIX standards. And talks about the nice function, which basically when code uses the function called nice, it's supposed to conform to the standards that are outlined here. In as much that if you want code that's going to be able to compile in more than just your environment, you'll do this, and then the other environments, when they make their stuff, are theoretically going to try to make the nice function conform to these standards. So what it kind of, when I looked at this, the way I interpreted it was that what it meant is if you have a compile error that has, an undefined reference to nice, then you just include the unistd.h header, I would guess. I'm hoping. Yeah. And then that should take care of it. Well, either I wasn't able to actually, because we do have that header, or at least I have that header in my directory, and I'm pretty sure we have. it's in the. I'm using specs, so I got it. I'm pretty sure Haiku has it. For whatever reason, it was either the place that I had placed the header, or I don't know what, but it didn't work for me, including that. And since I got so many of these damn things to try, and I have like a list of 100 chat apps that I've tried to compile, I'm trying to see how many I can get to work, and it'd be really nice if I knew if I just included the nice header, that every time that the nice error came up, that I'd have a nice solution. Same thing with the VA list issue. For a while there, I thought if I just include the lib.io header, that'll solve it. Not necessarily. VA list, I think it's either that or some other function, is included in standard input-output header and a standard input-output header pre. And then tonight I came across a rare happening, but it did happen. There was, I don't remember what the hell, I was trying to compile IRC services. This is a program that's in the chat section in Pkgsrc. And the compiler, I didn't have the specs on, so the compiler looked and it said, you've already defined this function in the BSD header standard input output, and now it appears in the POSIX standard input output, and so can't go on. We have two different, of course, if I wasn't using specs, I wouldn't be able to do much about it except for copy the header down that I thought would be the correct one, which would probably be the POSIX one, put it in the source directory, change the source code, put quotes around the header instead of having it just simply pathed, and go on. And of course, without the read access, you can't delete the BSD header or temporarily rename the BSD header. You just don't have that option. But the VA list is rampant. When you start getting closer to the X11 programs and the graphical programs, when you start getting there, get to the glib, the glib2, those kinds of builds, that it's kind of like at the edge of what people have been doing with Haiku, at least recently. I'm not at the edge. Still got a long way to go to get to the edge, but I'm closer to the edge. And in this area, there's not a lot of people in this area, as far as I know. And once you get in this area, you need the program to start asking for VA list. And the errors come up. They also seem to like to ask for the INT64. Most of the time, if you put the standard INT header in the file that's missing has the undefined reference, you can make it go away, but a lot of the time after I do that, then I get the nice VA list error that doesn't seem to want to go away. And then if I even if I get rid of the VA list error, not chances are, on rare occasions I'll get the schmigget, the shared memory get error, and then you can't go on, and that's not implemented yet, or who knows if it ever will. I don't think it will be because no one's working on it. Because Haiku doesn't do shared memory. This is, I think, I'm pretty sure. It sounds like we don't. At least when someone was talking about the shared memory header, the answer was, well, it's obvious because Haiku doesn't do that yet. So I guess Haiku doesn't do shared memory? I don't know. Seems like it, because I was having trouble running Apache, but then again, I built the Apache with the bad Flex, so there's all these different issues that are going on. If I were to start over again, I'd build Flex first. Meanwhile, I've set aside all my patches and hacks in one place where I can start over again if I wanted to, but I don't think I want to spend this long getting things built. it's a long journey. So maybe I'm still saying I'll be lucky if I get up to 5,000 builds. 4765, 4710, but that's where I'm at. And unless I have a breakthrough with Pixman, my compiling days are numbered, or my packages that could be compiled are numbered. I'm not counting anything I've already analyzed, so 62. But I don't think I'm going to have 6,000 more. I've only built 47, so... And I don't think it's going to be 40% of 6,000 either, or I really think it's only in the range of a couple hundred. Because now it's at the point where either it's a high level, it's a program that has so many dependencies that I'll never get there, or the error takes place. And they're all the errors are rooted in some undefined reference, or some header that's not found. The bottom line is. So, but now it's more of a grind. If I knock down, go object, introspection. So I had 20 programs to try to compile, right? Because they had that as the dependency. Then try it again, and 18 or 19 of them had Pixman now blocking me, so... it's kind of like that. So we have a ton of patches to make. I probably also I certainly haven't made every single patch that's available at Haiku ports, but I know that my scope here is 4,795 is larger than the scope of what Haiku ports offers at this stage. I know there are a lot of them are 2,000 for Perl packages, but there's still another 2,700. Some of which may have required patches that I didn't make a note of because the math library or library network or something I automatically took care of. Same conclusion. It is a lot of work. Anybody that's loaded anything up to Haiku ports, and I'll tell you right now, has worked a very, very long time to put those things up. I mean, they've worked really hard. These people must have worked really hard to get those things up there and running. At least under the state things are at today. To my mind, the VA list issue is so prevalent. And so is the INT32 issue. It's so prevalent, and it's so chronic, and it's those things are such big stoppers to having easy builds for the community in general, and a long, hard, terrible road ahead of them of patching that I consider them bugs, no matter what POSIX says. That's just my opinion. So that's it. We'll see how things go. I'll just do the numbers every once in a while, and if I have any breakthroughs, I'll let people know. I did a couple builds, a couple patches, but I at least wanted to get back the glib patch. If I haven't gone over it on camera, I know the glib 1 patch worked perfectly. Absolutely perfectly. And the Go Object Introspection patch over at Penguin K worked perfectly. So, that being the case, if you're looking for answers for those things, use those. I've also noticed that it's been useful for me to be able to pick which headers I want to use when I build files. That's what I mean when I turn the specs off and on. That's helped me to go on. I have a copy of the headers that are elsewhere, but if I want, I could make stopgap headers, or I could put like the SHM header in the sys directory and have it point to the real header. I have some write access. That's why I have the specs on like that. So that's definitely helped. Or when the BSG header interferes with the regular header, I could just go to mine where, because I haven't copied the BSG headers, I'm not going to be making wireless drivers here. I'm doing POSIX. So between that's helped a little bit too. All these little things, everything's added up to help, but still the result isn't quite there yet. I think right now this would be a good base for someone. If someone knows really what they're doing with porting things, I mean, I'm like right on the edge of, if not, of having a pretty good system. Actually, if you just get the X libraries to build, which I'm gonna try. So they're a decent system, not a perfect system. Still don't have Firefox. Any of the browsers that are even close to quasi-modern. Of course, that could come with Qt. I haven't tried Diger's Qt recently after Flex. Of course, it failed the first time because I didn't have the Flex rebuilt and all these other libraries. And I have to discover over time what fails with that weird number or can't link errors. And once I get those things ironed out, I think I'll be ready to try Qt. Then we can move on to things like Quipzilla, NetSurf, but that'll probably be a month or so away, at least. Done. I'm gonna fall asleep.